Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching or listening. In this episode, we're going to talk about family, how our jobs, how being a business owner, and everything that goes along with that, including the ADHD and other elements of our lives that we struggle with, sort of play into the family aspect and to really dive into how it affects us and how it affects our relationships. So we do have a few questions that have been asked by some of our viewers and listeners. So I've promised that we're going to do some of these questions. So we're going to start off with a couple of questions. I'm going to ask Matt, and then I will elaborate myself. So the first question, Matt, is from Jamie. Jamie says, you guys talk a lot about ADHD and overthinking. Do you think the traits that make someone struggle in a normal environment are actually the same traits that make them capable of building something unusual in business?
That is an interesting question.
It's a very good question.
Because the irony is I'm going to say no in my case, because I'm not very creative. I'm very good at following an already established process. I'm not very good at coming up with my own creative ideas. However, the reason I say no to that is because that's me personally, but for you, like, I feel that you're more creative than me, for example. So I feel like the ADHD traits in my case are more of a focus problem rather than a. Well, maybe it relates to the creativity as well. But they, for me, are more of a focus and overwhelm problem where I'm struggling to prioritize the task that I'm doing. So I don't necessarily think it relates to coming up with the ideas necessarily, but maybe it does. But it's more of a case of what I'm aware of, that I struggle to get the tasks together and then stick to that routine of following them, where I get very distracted by other things in the process. It's something that I'm looking to work towards and constantly trying to improve on the prioritization so that I don't get overwhelmed. So, for example, in other podcasts, you've talked about your alarm system, haven't you? So, and again, going back to the question, it's not necessarily a situation of does it affect your ideas when it comes to business. It's just more sticking to the ideas as I go. So going back to the creativity aspect of it, like, do you feel that the creativity is something that you struggle with? Because to me, I think that you're more creative than me. That's how I see it.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm more creative than you. No, I think we're all creative in our own ways. You know, I mean, obviously we have things in the world, like disciplines in the world, where you go, right, well, I'm creative in this space and I'm creative in this space, but we're all creative in our own way as well. And, you know, in the same way that, you know, these traits can make you bored in school, but make you an amazing problem solver in business.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I find that's for me, that resonates massively. Because, like I've said in the past, you know, I was, you know, with my my school background in school, I didn't do very well. You know, I was just the naughty kid. But I'm a fantastic problem solver. Like, and that's what I feel like that trait resonates more with me, is the problem solving side of things. You know, it's not. Is it like more of a hindrance or a solution? You know, and working out what those are, because then you'll be able to choose the path, you know, and whether you continue with it or whether you don't. So I think that being a problem solver for me, and that's for my ADHD brain, I guess, is important. That is something that I work with every single day. And if I don't have problems to solve, I get bored. So where I wasn't interested in school, I was bored because, you know, again, I like I've said, I don't necessarily agree with the UK schooling system and how they teach our kids. I just don't think that there is. They don't teach all of our kids, you know, everything about what's actually important in life. You know, skills and that. about business and money and other bits and pieces. But you know, it's like I said before, it's a memory exercise. So I realised that early on, and I realised that there wasn't necessarily a chance to problem solve because there was always a right answer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Like, there's always a right answer, and the teacher will know what that answer is. And you know, it's put your hands up if you know the answer to it. And you might have 4 kids that say something that's close to the answer, and she'll say, or he'll say, yeah, okay, I like where you're going with it, but what else? And then someone will eventually say the answer that the teacher has in their head. That's the only answer.
Yeah.
So problem solving isn't about finding one particular answer. It's about finding, you know, a network of answers and figuring out which one actually fits.
That's it. Perspective,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, this is something that I think maybe has held me back a little bit in life, where I've had that very systemized attitude, where I've always thought, okay, there's a right answer. And that's the same with business. Okay, so my dad, he had an engineering business. I always thought, okay, so I have to build a business that way because that's how my dad did it. And it doesn't work like that, does it? And that comes from the system. So I completely agree with you about the school system. It's not there to help you take the tools that you've got and optimize on them. It's there to teach you to fit in with the system, which, as far as ADHD is concerned, where you have your set of tools, you need to learn how to optimize them. So going back to the question, for example, if you can utilize the ADHD tools that you have in your brain, it becomes an exceptional skill. It becomes a superpower, like we mentioned before. The same with dyslexia, ADD. Every form of tools, as I see it, if you can learn to optimize them, then it becomes perfect for business. That's what you want. However, if you become systemized, it doesn't. Which is kind of why I say no in my case, because I have been systemized being in the system in the past. So, and that's what I'm now trying to work towards. It's part of the reason we're doing this, so that we can grow together. So that is an interesting question.
So thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that question. Got another question from Rebecca Collins. She says, how do you tell the difference between a genuine bad day where you should rest and a day where your brain is just trying to avoid something uncomfortable that you actually need to do?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, actually. Now, you get the physical feeling of burnout. I think everyone in life has experienced that. Whether they acknowledge it or not, I don't know, because a lot of driven people, a lot of parents as well, who have to provide, obviously, they will experience burnout, but you just keep pushing and you may not recognise that you're burnt out, and then it can lead to other issues as they all escalate on top of each other. So for me, with my injuries that I've got from the past, I get a lot more pain as I get burnt out. I feel the pain. I get tendonitis, I get back pain, I get pain in my pelvis and my glutes from my accident.
Talk about that a bit more, because you're not actually you've not actually spoken about, like, you've told us about the accident like briefly and what the results of that were, but you haven't actually gone into detail on how that like affects you, maybe like daily.
Yeah, of course.
And what that looks like for you, like when you get out of bed in the morning, or if you're having a day where the pain is particularly bad, and like throughout the day, but you're at work or whatever. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so to summarise, 2015, I had a motorbike accident. I was 23 at the time, and I broke 3 vertebrae in my back and my pelvis. So I got screws in my pelvis and a couple of wonky vertebrae, which makes me sort of stoop forward. So my back, the erector spinae, which is the muscles that go down the side of your spine, They go into spasm quite often, and I get lower back pain as well because I'm constantly trying to fight the need to sit like this where it's comfortable. So for me, a lot of core training, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of back work to make sure that everything's strong. If I don't keep up with that, or I get burnt out, then the muscles become weak, or the pain is escalated in the case of burnout, where it then heightens the pain, so then it affects my mood. So I don't then want to get on with the day, for example. So with regards to getting up in the morning, it's difficult. It hurts. You ache. You get up and you're like, oh, and I'm constantly thinking. And this happened when I was 23, and I was thinking like, I'm 23. This shouldn't happen. Why do I ache like an old man? Now everyone has got aches and pains in their body. We've all got niggles because we're machines. Machines, they go wrong. So people will have knee pain, they will have pain in their hands, they'll have carpal tunnel. We've all got problems. But for me, because of the combination of my pelvis and my glute issues and my back, it all resonates from my core. So then it has a massive effect on my entire body, basically, where if, going back to the training, if I don't keep up with the training and I get weak, then the muscles tend to go into spasm. So if they go into spasm, then I'm kind of crippled and like, oh, and we all know what that's like when you bend down and your back goes into spasm, you're like, oh, can't move. So, and that has a vicious cycle on your mindset, because when I had my crash, for example, I was thinking, I'm too young for this. Why has this happened to me? Why? And there was a lot of blaming. There was a lot of procrastination because I was just feeling sorry for myself, and I probably ran in denial for a long time as well. So I then overcompensated because I knew, oh, well, I've got to train. So I train harder and I train too much, which would then lead to the burnout. For example, I know this is going a little bit off the subject of ADHD, but I feel like it's similar, going back to the question, where you then put yourself in that burnout state without realizing. Because with my accident, I was overcompensating because I thought I had to train harder to make sure that, everything was in control. And you don't realize it's happening at the time. Then it leads to sleepless nights because you're worried, because you have to provide, you have to add value to life. You have to be able to earn money for your family. So then you get paranoid as whether you're going to do that, because I was always concerned about my body failing. And for a long time, I didn't recognize it. In relation to the question, I didn't recognize it for a long time. And I'd say it's only recently, like the past probably 2 or 3 years, and bearing in mind that's 7 years after the accident as well, that I started to recognize that there was a problem. Because the lack of sleep from doing shift work in the past, and then not sleeping because of the sort of anxiety from trying to keep pushing and then worrying about my body, for example, it all escalated over time. And I was renovating my house at the time as well, which I feel like that's another subject actually for another day. But I feel like that was part of me trying to overcompensate, because I was trying to prove something to the world that I was okay. So I took on my project and I renovated my house entirely on my own, built my garage, my patio, bathroom, full gut job. And I think it was part of that proving process to the world, which relates to our earlier episodes about the fear of judgment, I suppose, as well. We've gone a little bit off subject to the original question.
Going back to the question then. So, so how do you recognise what a real bad day is, where you need to rest, compared to a day where you're just putting it off because you've got difficult things to get done on that day.
Yeah, for me, it's the pain.
Yeah.
It's now the pain. When you feel it, don't you? You feel if you're tired in your face. you feel like your body's heavy. For me, the pain escalates in my back and in my hands and everything like that as well from the tendonitis. So I also get in that mental state of overwhelm very easily when I'm burnt out as well. It becomes very difficult to regulate. So when I'm burnt out, that's when the mind starts racing, basically. So in comparison to when I just don't want to get on with the uncomfortable tasks, which is just like, got to do that, haven't I? Oh, well, I'll look at my phone a little bit more. Oh, I'll go and do that. I'll go and make a coffee. That's different. That's laziness. So that's how I recognize it now, because my body is basically telling me through pain that it's burnt out, it's tired, it needs to rest. So how does that relate to you? How do you feel?
I don't really know, if I'm honest with you. I don't think there's something in me that goes, today's a bad day. Like, I kind of have to start my day to recognise that. Like yesterday, like I messaged you in the evening, I was burnt out.
Yeah.
I was absolutely dead. I had a headache. I'd sat in front of a computer for like 12 hours, and it was just one of those days where I just felt literally drained, and I was like, oh, I'm going to feel it tomorrow as well. And I don't really feel too bad today. I feel like I'm just more lethargic today than I normally would be, but that's like, for me, it's peaceful. Like actually my Tourette's is really stable today. Like me being able to suppress it now feels easier.
Why do you think it's more stable today then?
But I think it's because my brain is tired. So because my brain's tired, it doesn't have like the neuro firing mechanism in my brain isn't as active today.
Yeah.
So because of that, I feel more calm. Yeah. So having a bad day for me is not always a bad thing, because it means that like my next day is and the day after that maybe is probably I get a bit of a break from my Tourette's.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of people don't. Anyone who doesn't have it wouldn't understand. But it's almost like the way I would describe it is having respite from your kids. Like if you've got I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and like they could be a nightmare. They're almost 5 and 3, and they can be an absolute nightmare when you put them together. Our daughter at the moment, she's really whingy, but then when the mother my mum or my mother-in-law, whatever, is like, oh, we'll have the kids tonight. You two go out for a meal or something. Like we'll have the kids over to stay. Like you're like, oh, like, and you can just relax. Like you can relax in yourself, and that's kind of what it's like when I get a break from my Tourette's. It's almost like you've got 2 kids just like clinging to you all day long, just screaming at you.
Now that is something we can all relate to, can't we?
Yeah, well,
all parents will know that feeling.
Any parents, obviously not everyone's a parent, but
no.
that's how I would give you some insight.
That's intense.
Yeah, it can be difficult. And it's not that like this podcast that we're doing, we only talk about these things. We're only talking about ADHD, and we're only talking about problems that we've got that are neurological or physical or something like that. It's just that when we do talk about how we're both trying to become successful in our own ventures and our own journeys, so the pressure alone with doing that is for me quite exponential, because I believe in myself. But again, those intrusive thoughts, they're always there. They're always, at the back of your mind. So yeah, for me, a bad day is where my brain activity is really high, and they tend to be on days where I feel good. So it's again really
When you say good, you mean your body feels good, or do you mean driven?
driven. My body feels good. I feel driven. I'm up. I'm raring to go. And I'm being productive. I can just get loads of work done. The days when my brain is firing like that, those are the days where I suffer the most.
Yeah.
So it's counterintuitive.
It's high energy consumption, isn't it?
It's the bandwidth that my brain has to process on. My brain's constantly processing a massive bandwidth. It's in like the terabytes.
Yeah.
Constantly. So for me, like I say, like today, it's lovely. I feel so like calm, and this is the closest that I can feel to someone who doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that my tics aren't as aggressive today, or they're not as frequent today. And even though I'm talking about it, which tends to prompt it to, kick in, like that, it's just not. It's not really there. So
it's crazy.
So yeah. So that hopefully that answered your question, Rebecca. Thank you for sending it in.
Yeah, we went a little bit off subject.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but
that's what we do. That's what we do here.
It's our podcast, isn't it? So. I've got a question from Daniel. We'll do one more question and then we'll go on to the episode. One question from Daniel. Do people fail because of lack of capability or lack of belief?
Oh, definitely the belief.
Yeah.
Definitely the belief. The way I see it is anyone can learn a skill. It might be harder to learn that skill, but anyone can do it. Now, you will have physical capabilities, so I don't want people firing at me going, hang on, but I'm missing an arm, so I can't play tennis, But you obviously have to like play to your strengths in life. We're all given a set of skills that we're good at, and some we're not. But I do believe that you can learn anything, but it just depends on how much effort you're willing to put into it. Having said that, whether you're going to be an expert at it or not is a different story.
I think I agree. I mean, I think that a lot of people, I don't know. Again, we're certainly not gurus. We're not, we're just answering on behalf of ourselves, I suppose, at the moment. But a lot of people have more capability than they think they do, and it really comes down to like action paralysis. Like it's just not taking action.
Yeah.
And that's where like those confidence issues sort of come in as well. So, I mean, the capability side of things and the belief side of things, I think that they are. I think we shouldn't ignore the belief, because being capable in something is one thing, but believing that you can do it as well is the other. And I think for me, it goes the other way around. Like you have to believe that you can do something, and then you feel capable to do that thing. So I think they work in tandem. I don't think like you can have one or the other. Like it's not like one is the driven factor over the other. I think they're both as important as each other. For me at least anyway, having that belief first gives me the capability, I think, to do it, whether it's mental, whether it's physical or whatever. If you see someone do something that you don't feel like you're capable of doing, and then you watch someone else do it and you go, well, I didn't actually look that hard, you're going to give it a go, aren't you?
I think so. Then what often happens is you do it and then you realise it's really hard. Because they've put a lot of effort into becoming capable.
But nothing worth obtaining in this life comes easy.
Definitely not. That's an interesting concept, because ADHD brain thrives on the dopamine of learning new tasks, right? And this is a problem that I suffer from with massively, right? I go, wow, I want to learn to do that.
Before you carry on,
please.
hang on, don't lose that train of thought. I think this is a really relatable, I know where you're going with this, and I think this is really relatable. So if you're listening to this and this sounds like you, and you don't think you've got ADHD or anything like that, then if you familiarize yourself or find yourself in these stories, then the likelihood is you probably do. So sorry, Matt, carry on. You're talking about.
No, that's fine, because again, that's why we're doing this. We want to reach out to the people that this resonates with, so that we can improve and grow together going forward.
Yeah.
And the people that are listening to this, if they reach out to us, they might have different views and concepts as well to what we're saying. So we'd love to hear those views from you as well. So yeah, reach out. But I have always thrived on the challenge of something new. So what happens is I know all these skills, and I've said this to you before, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But tell me the rest of the phrase.
People get it wrong, right? And this really frustrates me, right? The saying goes, well, people think it's jack of all, master of none, which is a negative. It's a downflexion when you finish that sentence. Jack of all trades, master of none, and that sounds negative, but it's not. It's actually a positive. Saying, but no one finishes the sentence. So the real sentence goes. The original one was a jack of all trades, master of none, but a jack of all is better than one, because if you've got the capabilities and ability to do lots and lots of different things, but you're not necessarily a master at any one particular one of them, then that makes you so much more usable. Like, your skills are so much more usable than someone who's dedicated themselves to one very specific, avenue.
Yeah, but there is a belief, and I do believe it as well, that if you're going to make money and lots of money, you got to be a specialist. But the problem is, it then isolates you and makes you vulnerable.
Yep.
Doesn't it? So I feel like maybe I've taken it to the other extreme, where I just thrived on the excitement of a new challenge, basically, which then kind of hinders you, because I have all these skills, but I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Which is where being an expert, where you're focusing all of your time on that exact thing, is much better in that sense. But it makes you niche, leaves you very specialist. I have a mate, actually. He's a professional audio mixer, and he is exceptional at it. But the problem is, it's a very specialist industry. It takes specialist knowledge, and he's got some students, and he's trying to teach those students and reach out to grow his student base as well. But it's quite difficult, because it's such a niche subject. But his benefit is that he is then alone, and he's marketing himself as that specialist. Makes it easier to, I suppose, charge what you need to, but then you have a smaller client base. So if you relate that to what we do in property, yes, you want a specialist. So we know, like, hotel guys, don't we? We know commercial guys. We know rent-to-rent guys, and they kind of specialise, but at the same time, they obviously have to adapt as things go. So it's a case of utilising your specialism to a point, but being adaptable, I suppose, is the word. Yeah, so I've gone a bit off subject there again.
No, it's fine.
So for me, like, what I'm trying to say is, I've got lots of skills in various things: music, sports, engineering. I am working towards specialism now, so that I can then grow in that one specialism better. But I know that I've got fallback if something didn't work. But going back to the original question, you have to believe that that's going to work in order for it to work, because if you don't, it's not going to work, even if you are a specialist at it. So going back to my audio engineer guy, he works with a lot of musicians, and they are exceptional musicians, but they're not marketing themselves because they haven't got the belief.
Yep.
So then they're not lucrative business people. They're keeping themselves in their bedroom. They're absolutely, like, shredding on guitar, for example, but they're not putting themselves out there because they don't believe it. And It's something that I've struggled with for a long time as well. I haven't believed that I was worth putting myself out there for. And it hinders you, it holds you back. It has a negative impact on your mind and how you portray yourself to the world as well.
I just think that, you know, just very quickly,
Of course.
then answer. How much foresight do you think and I'm not asking for like a long answer or anything like that, but like, how much foresight do you think that you need before you go into a specialist niche where you're going to earn lots of money? How much foresight do you feel like you need to have before you do that?
Me? Loads. In reality, probably not that much.
So do you think it's worth getting into being a data analyst at the moment then?
For me, that's something I've never explored.
No. I mean,
maybe I should go try it.
No. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying like, if you were looking at, like, let's say someone was looking at, they want to become a data analyst, yeah, right? Is that a good path to go down right now? Me personally, absolutely not.
No, me neither.
In the age of AI, like, those jobs gone. They're gone. Like, they're gone. I mean, even like some SEO jobs in like big companies, like junior roles in like soliciting firms and stuff like that. Like, AI is now taking over like a lot of these jobs.
Yeah.
So having that, like, no one would have known that. And like, if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, right, where you've got all these people working on production lines, yeah, right? They're all saying, oh, well, you know, some guy comes up and he's like, well, I've got robots now that are going to come and do all this stuff, all this machine, you know, stuff that's all going to do it for us. And well, lots of people were, you know, being threatened out of a job. So they were striking, they were fighting against it, basically, against the innovation. They were fighting against innovation. And did they win? No, they didn't, because you can't fight against innovation. You have to go with it.
So that's a different concept. That's unionisation,
Yeah.
systemization, isn't it?
Yeah, systemization, yeah. But that's where these people, you know, that was their livelihood. That was their day job. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you think about like coal miners now, like, is that even a job anymore? You know,
well, it must be.
You say it must be, but like, do people still go down into the mines with their helmet on and their light on and their pickaxe and, you know, come out looking like, you know, with black soot all over there, you know, and just like, what? Do they still take a canary down there with them? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, innovation happens over time, and you either get on board with it and you stay ahead of the curve, and, you know, you make money doing it that way, or you fight innovation and inevitably have to give into it. But by that time, there's no niche left for you. There's no market there for you to sort of dive into where you can like corner a section of it and make it yours. Yeah. You know, I know this is going off topic, but you know, anyway, this is definitely something that we want to talk about, because I'm really interested in innovation, technology, science, and like AI and stuff like that. I work with AI every single day, every day without fail. Some days I only talk to AI, other than my wife and kids, morning and evening. So, yeah, it's. Yeah. But
whereas in contrast, I've got quite an old-fashioned brain. Although I'm adaptable in physical skill set, I'm not as adaptable as you, where you thrive on the innovation, don't you?
Yeah.
I am more of a mindset of, well, that's how it's always been, so that must work. Which is where going back to what I was saying about the with the first question, where I'm not very creative. I suppose the word is I'm not very innovative. However, obviously in business, to thrive, you have to be innovative. Do you think there's a point where innovation gets out of control, where it becomes too much, i.e. there's too much progression that it actually hinders?
No, this is a whole conversation.
We have gone completely off subject.
This is a whole conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think we've answered Daniel's question anyway about the capability and lack of capability or lack of belief. And, you know, my standpoint is that you need the belief and the capability for it to work. Basically, it's not just sort of one or the other.
We'll have to do another episode on that.
I think so. Anyway, right. So, going back to the subject that we were going to be talking about today, so I would like to know how everything that we've sort of spoken about in the last sort of 3 or 4 episodes up to now, you know, we talk about it to the camera, we talk about our day while we're at work. We briefly touch on our home life and our family, but we don't really sort of go into details with it. And I feel like this is going to be something that a lot of people relate to, regardless whether they've got ADHD or not. So I suppose, how does that look for you and your family when you're at home and, you know, you're doing your thing, like you're Matt. So how does your ADHD and like your burnout and how you're working and your patterns and all that, how does that affect you when you take it home?
Yeah, it's a great question, because my wife and I've got my wife and my little boy. We're two contrasting personalities, but we have the same morals. Mm. So what I mean by the contrasting personalities is my ADHD means that I have the up and the down, euphoria, depression, burnout, but the cycle just continues. And what it does is it then has a massive effect on my wife, who's very stable, but she struggles pushing out of her comfort zone. Whereas I thrive on being uncomfortable, but because of the burnout, I sometimes struggle to keep the consistency, which you need. So we in essence complement each other very well. But my euphoria is great to be around when I'm like that, and we have a great time together. But when I crash, which literally happened in a finger click, you come straight down to the depression, and then suddenly everything makes me angry because I'm burnt out. And this will literally happen, like the cycle will happen like maybe once or twice a day. It's getting a lot less as I'm getting older. But what it does is it's exhausting for my wife, because she won't know where I'm at. Now, this doesn't happen. People don't see, who are outside my family, they don't see that cycle quite as much. My friends have always seen it, because when I get comfortable, I think that's when the cycles are portrayed. Like, for example, you say when you're relaxed with your Tourette's, you tick more. And I feel like my ADHD with my abnormal... Sorry, you tick less. Sorry. Yeah. It's a similar situation. When you're relaxed, your real self comes out. So then the effect it has on my wife is that she's exhausted because she's dealing with this inconsistency of me. But the reality is, because I'm always wanting to push, the upcycle and the drive that I've got to succeed, but my wife is more consistent, she's more leveled, she's more like, okay, we've got this, let's maintain it. And I'm like, no, push forward. I get frustrated, which then adds to the cycle, because these little frustrations, they build up. And someone said to me, maybe it was you, about a champagne bottle being shaken, and you keep shaking, and then suddenly the cork explodes, and then rage. It comes out as anger. And that's how it's portrayed, and it's focused on usually the person that's closest to me, which unfortunately is my wife. So then what happens is she shuts down. And we've been together a long time, so she's become hardened to this. But I feel guilty afterwards, because I now understand the cycle, and then the frustration is targeted at her. You know, it's not physical. I'll just clear that up. But you have all of this stuff inside your brain, and then it has to release, and it's aimed at the person that's nearest to you. And this has happened with mates before as well. You know, you'll be in a mates group, and then there'll be little frustrations, and then suddenly someone says something, and then snap, it goes. And you've said to me before, like, well, you don't look angry. And I don't to most people, but I'm most the people that are closest to me get the cycle the most.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
they burden the brunt of your.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the problem is, which is also not a problem, it's a really good thing, is that because we have the same morals, we both want the best for our child. For example, we both want to be successful in life. We're still together, which is good. I'm very happy about that. Too. So, do you have a similar situation, a similar cycle, or is it different for you?
It's definitely different, but I'm probably a nightmare to live with.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, yeah.
Like my wife would probably say I could be an absolute nightmare to live with. But then so can she, and she knows that. Like, I'm pretty sure she's got ADHD as well. She thinks she does. It's like you've got two people with it in the same household. I'm a lot better than I used to be. A lot better. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, my relationship with my wife wasn't married back then, but like it was a lot different. I was younger. I was like, I would just be more spontaneous, and I would crash and burn a bit quicker, and I didn't know where my limits were. It's almost like drinking, isn't it? When you're younger, like you drink and you just always seem to like drink to excess, and then like as you get older, you're like, I don't really like hangovers anymore. So like I'll be a bit more careful. And then you end up having 2 pints one evening, and then you end up with a hangover regardless, and you're like, fuck's sake. What's going on? So then like you have to limit yourself to one, and it's like, do you know what I mean? But you learn that over time.
Yeah.
And I learn over time, how to do it. And for me, obviously I get lots of other frustrations, with my other conditions, like with OCD and with like Tourette's and like the ADD, like the AD family, the hyperactive and the non-hyperactive, the ADD stuff, the attention deficit disorder, that one's like, should be talking to me, should be telling me something, yeah? And I just zone out. Like I just literally zone out, and she'll get done saying what she said, and then ask me a follow-up question. I'm like, and I have no idea. But I just, sometimes it's not because I'm losing interest in what she's saying. It's just that my brain just wanders. It's like it just goes into daydream mode, like quite quickly when I'm tired.
Do you do it with other people?
Yeah, so I was going to say, but sometimes it's not necessarily because I'm tired. Like, I could be with a group of mates, yeah, right? And one of them will be talking, and I'm just bored of what he's saying. And like what they're talking about, I'm just bored. I'm like, I'm not interested in what you're talking about right now. And I'll just switch off.
Yeah.
And I will just switch off. And in the past, yeah, right, I've been out with the boys and that, and we're sitting out for a meal or whatever, and we're having dinner, and they're talking about some stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going. See you later. And I'll just leave.
Yeah.
I just leave.
I relate to that. Yeah.
But I don't know. It just like I'm not being stimulated. I guess that's what it comes down to.
When you are coming up to that event, though, for example, right, you're going to go out and watch the rugby. Yeah. After the weekend with your mates, 2:00, right? Yeah, everyone's buzzing. Come on, let's go to town and get on it. And then it's great for a few hours, isn't it? And then it declines. Now, do you feel that as well? Because for me, that's like the cycle that I'm talking about.
Yeah. So you get like it's almost like doing like NDMA, isn't it? You do it, you do it. I was young once.
So I haven't actually done that. So you tell me about this experience.
Yeah, I could tell you a few stories, but I mean, it's like you get this euphoric high. You come up, and then you just like you're sitting on cloud nine. Do you know what I mean? Like everything's just great. Like you love everyone, you love everything. You're in the moment, and that's like the build up to the pre-game, like up to where you're going and doing or whatever, and then inevitably it wears off, and then you're on a massive come down, and that's what happens there. Like you just get a big dopamine dump in the beginning, and then your body's like, oh, we need to replenish. Come on, let's fight. Let's get some more dopamine into his brain. But you can't replace it quick enough. So like you end up going down, and you get like depressed, and you just, and that's sometimes when I'm like that. I've had a massive dopamine dump or whatever because I'm going out and meeting a few mates, I'm enjoying it or whatever, and it's almost like I have a fun meter.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah,
It's almost like I've got a fun meter.
yeah, and it runs out.
It does, yeah. And I have to refuel it. It's like, you know, going to the petrol station and refueling your car. Like it's only good for so long.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, it's depleted. I'm like, oh, I'm bored. I'm going home.
And I don't have any qualms. I'm exactly the same. I don't have any qualms with just going, bye. And then just kind of like off you go.
Yeah. Half the time they don't even realise I've left. So
no, that's the thing, isn't it?
they're all focused talking on what they're talking about, and I'm just like, bye.
Yeah. That is a great way of putting it, actually. Like the MDMA, like the cycle of dopamine, that is ADHD down to the T.
It is, yeah.
And the cycle that I talk about, that is that. But what can also happen is, along with the fun meter running out, which just kind of happens naturally. If there's a trigger that upsets me, the fun meter doesn't run out; it just explodes.
Yeah,
and it breaks. And yeah, and then it's like a car crashing into a brick wall.
Yeah, it comes to a stop pretty quick, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But what happens first is the kind of like the release of all that frustration. So going back to how that affects other people, though, when you've been with someone for a long time, you obviously both get quite hardened to it, don't you? You understand the cycle, but...
Well, you become ignorant to it, I think.
You do, yeah.
That's what happens. And that's what happens in my relationship, I think, with my wife. Like, we've just sort of become quite ignorant to those cycles, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to better identify them. So my wife's fantastic. She's such a good mum, and she's such a laid back person. And like, we've spoken about this before, and I've never really spoken about this before other than to Matt. But I feel like when I met my wife, she was very laid back. She was very fun. She was, very sort of bubbly, happy-go-lucky. But like, as we've grown older together, I was never really like that. I've never really had that. Like, I think I've spoken about it in the past about like not feeling that happiness, and I kind of sit on the more bias towards the neutral side than I do like a bubbly or happy side. Actually, I sit quite far towards the neutral side. Like, whereas she didn't. She was very sort of happy and bubbly. But as we've grown older together, and we're married and we've got kids and that, and I know that life is partly to do with this, and stresses that we both have in our lives. But because I was never like that, and I was always quite an affirmative person as well. And she was quite submissive. Like, when someone would say something, instead of argue with them, she would just say, "Okay, fine," and accept it. Whereas now, she won't. Like, she will fight her corner no matter what. And it's not a bad thing, but I feel like I've hardened her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want that softer side for my wife again, and I don't know whether that's achievable, because I feel like once you start putting on armor, it's easy to get it on, but it's very difficult to take it off again. So I feel partly responsible for that, and it's kind of hard to live with, kind of hard to deal with, because you've changed someone. Like, you've actually changed someone.
Yeah.
Their beliefs, their perspectives, the way how they sort of like how they carry themselves and how they deal with things. Like, they've taken on a lot of my traits, and I think that's like what happens in relationships. Like, you share stuff, like you give this, they give that, and you both have an equilibrium where you share and you come to a sort of a level ground with it, and you both mix and match with all your skills and what you've got to offer. But some of them aren't ones that you want to pass on. Yeah. And that's like, you talk about family, you talk about passing these things on. I'm terrified at like passing the wrong things on to my kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrified of it. Like, my kids, they're great. I mean, they're just normal kids. But you don't think that. I know they are, and I can sit here and I can say I know they're just normal kids. Well, they might have Tourette's. I don't know. We will find out in a few years' time. But they're normal kids. You know, they play, they fight, they argue, they laugh at stupid things. Do you know what I mean? They're just normal kids. But sometimes when you're emotionally burnt out, and you know you've had a bad day, and my wife's had a bad day, and we've got the kids and they're being particularly difficult, like that exhaustion, that mental exhaustion is just it's another level some days, and you just want to scream at them. You know, you just want to just like, oh, for God's sake, you know, you scream at the kids, but you know that it's not really going to do anything. No. Like, it doesn't matter. I've tried it. I've tried shouting at my kids. They don't listen when I don't shout, and they don't listen when I do shout.
No,
so.
It's not. Well, my little boy now finds it funny, so which I'm actually like secretly happy about as well, because it means that he's got the gumption to push.
Yeah,
you know, and that's one thing that I've always wanted for my children, is that they have the gumption to push forward. Basically, end of the day, I want them to be happy. I don't want them to be miserable doing it.
No.
But I want them to just have the willingness to try to push forward. And obviously, you don't want your kids to make mistakes, but they have to in order to grow and thrive just the same way we do. But going back to where you're saying that you're trying to then level out and control it with your wife, for example, like knowing that she's kind of taken on your traits, like how does it make you feel? Do you feel guilty for it?
Yeah, I do. I do feel guilty before it, but I don't know whether we've never really spoken about it. So I know it seems weird, doesn't it? Like I'm talking about it on the podcast, and I've never really spoken to my wife about it. But like,
there's the point.
I think. Well, actually, I don't know. I might have done. Oh no, I have. I have spoken to her about this. Not in depth though. But
yeah. What do you think she would say if she was sitting right here now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I would hope that she would. Well, I don't know whether she sees them as bad traits or not. That's the thing. I think I recognise them as traits that I'm trying to improve on. Yeah. Like I have a short temper, but then, you know, so does she sometimes. But I think that's just humans. You know, we can all have short tempers sometimes. I don't think that's specific to one group of people. I think that she probably wouldn't be too sort of worried about it.
Yeah.
Like she still does have that, you know, not very very blasé sort of approach to things as well. But I don't think any of the traits that I've passed on are like, you know, dangerous or anything like that. It's just that you have that yin and yang, don't you? Like you have two different people that come together, and you know, to have that cohesive system where you are together in a unity, you have to share things, and you might have to share things about you that you don't like, and vice versa. But that's down to the other person whether they want to take those and use them, or whether they want to reject them.
Definitely.
So if she's taken on, you know, traits that I've projected out there, then that might be because she wanted to, and not because I forced them on her. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, like I say, I could be a nightmare to live with. It's
on that subject though, with the accepting the traits, for example. So because my wife and I, we are very yin and yang with the same morals. I have to coax out information from her, and that's how it's always been. She's always been like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the other way around for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have always had to coax anything she's feeling out of her from the start as well. And it added to my frustration because I wanted to push forward. But the problem is, the way I see it now is that I push too much. I used to be, so I met her when I was 20, and she was a similar age, and she was shy, she was reserved, she was quiet, But when we met, I could feel the energy. I could feel that connection. I could feel like we just clicked, even though personality-wise we were completely separate. So I would then, over time, get frustrated because I wanted to like do things, but because of my extreme tendencies, like we've talked about before, where I like extreme sports because I wanted that adrenaline, that dopamine rush. But my wife didn't want that. She wanted something calmer, you know. So it would be a balance of trying to please both of us, of course.
Does that make you feel guilty though?
Yeah, it does. It does, because I suppose it's selfish because I wanted to push because I thought that she would think like me, but the reality she didn't. So it's selfish that I didn't understand her more. I suppose it could go two ways where, okay, a quiet person should push more.
I don't think you ever know though, do you? You
No,
get together with someone.
It's that boundary, isn't it?
Yeah, you get together with someone, you find your feet, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, you know, if you're still together with your wife, and you know, there's a reason for that. The same for me. You know, I'm still together with my wife, and there's a reason for that. You know, for us, like, you know, I'm quite a religious person. You know, I'm very close to God, and my wife is not. So this is a perfect example. She's not. She doesn't have a belief system. She doesn't resonate with any of this, and she will listen to me when I'm talking about how, like, you know, I've you know, maybe I've been asking or praying for something, and it's shown itself, and you know, there's all these coincidences that keep happening in my life, you know, where I'm praying for things and then they just happen. But she'll listen to me, but she doesn't. Like, I go to church every week, she doesn't. But you know, even though, like, I've got this strong belief system and she doesn't, she still understands it though. She still gets, like, she still listens to me. She still lets me talk about these things because it's something that interests me, and vice versa. You know, she wears her heart on her sleeve. You know, so like, she'll tell me how she's feeling all the time, and if there's a problem, she'll talk to me about it. So yeah, I think that.
So would you say that you don't, like, typically? I know you are now. You're saying this to me.
Oh, I don't know.
But you don't typically have your heart on your sleeve.
No, I suppose I'm
Really?
more like your wife.
Wow.
Where I'm very much and have been a closed book for a long time. This is all still very new to me. All of this, you know, again, I never had social media. I never put myself out there in the world because I felt like if I'd never put myself out there, then I can never feel like a failure. And a lot of people, I feel, can resonate with that. And the more that I'm putting myself out there, the more I'm realising that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like I said in the last episode, who cares what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As long as it makes me feel good and it's good for me and my family, then I'm just going to go and do it.
So what was the transition point that made you think like that, where you just thought, okay, well, I've got to...
I'm still working it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still working it out. We're talking months.
Yeah.
It's been, you know, but I'm still working this out, and it's a long road. You know, I don't know where the end of it's going to be. I don't know what the journey is going to look like, but you know, I know me personally. I know that, you know, my path is paved by God, and I trust Him, and for me, that's all I need to believe in. That it really is, you know, and. Again, a lot of people won't be able to resonate with that. They might not understand that, and that's fine. Everyone is allowed to have their own belief system. You know, no one should be ridiculed for what they believe in. So, you know, going back to how that sort of fits into your family, like I say, I go to church and whatever, but my wife doesn't. But she won't stop me taking the kids. Like, if the kids want to go or anything like that.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
like,
what you need.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you know, it's not that she doesn't believe in God or whatever. You know, she doesn't understand it. She openly
It doesn't
say
resonate with her.
No, it doesn't. No,
This is the same with my wife as well. So
Yeah.
she's always let me get on with what I needed to do. which is an amazing trait of hers. So she's let me get on with my extreme cycle, and I'm very appreciative of it, and that's why we're still together, I think. And I respect and admire her greatly for it as well. But I always wanted her to join in with what I was doing.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Now, how do you feel with your religion and her not joining in?
I don't think I don't think that religion is something that should be pushed on anybody.
No.
Because religion is a choice, and it's a choice for a reason. You know, to believe in God is a choice for a reason, and it's not for any other reason than you have to be ready for it. So if you don't believe in it, you don't believe in God or whatever, and you don't have any religion that you sort of reside with, then that's fine. It's not a problem, you know. But He's always there.
Yeah.
Like when you are ready, you know, and it's not like I've been, you know, religious my whole life consistently, you know, and I feel like, you know, this sort of links into what we were just saying regarding how your wife is as well. I feel like that a lot of this is to do with the way we are now and the way that we sort of hold ourselves in our family dynamic is pretty much how we were raised by our parents. So I was raised in a Catholic household. Okay. You know, we went to church every Sunday. My dad never did, although he believes in God.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. But my mum, you know, she was converted, like, if you like. She joined, you know, she met my dad, and my nan is very religious, and you know, I go to church with my nan on Saturday evenings. She doesn't like the Sunday morning mass because it's too loud for her, so with the kids, so we go on Saturday evenings.
That's amazing.
But my mum wasn't religious, and she came in, and then she'd done her confirmations. You know, she went into the church, and she brought herself into it. She moved herself into that family, into that dynamic, and she accepted that was. But I feel like that was kind of one of those things where, back in the day, it was like it's our way or the highway sort of thing. Like you either come in and you become, you know, a Catholic as well, or off you go.
Yeah.
You know, so to make things easier, like, you know, and then you worry about the same thing. You go, right, well, a lot of the reasons why I am the way I am is because of my upbringing, because of my family dynamic in my household when I was younger. And then you go, right, well, what are the lessons I've learned from that? And then you get absolutely terrified that you're going to pass on stuff to your kid as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like a cycle, isn't it?
Because at the end of the day, you just want the ultimate best for them, don't you?
You do. But
as a parent, and for your wife as well. This is why I've always pushed so much, because I've always wanted the best for my family.
So, I'll ask you a question.
Yes.
And I'd like you to be honest. When you just say the last thing you just said. Then,
I've always wanted the best for my family, so I've pushed.
Yeah.
Too much.
So, do you feel like your endeavours that you've gone and sort of pushed yourself towards doing, whether they're the extreme sports and whatnot, do you think that they were more for you than your family?
Extreme sports, definitely.
Yeah,
that's an adrenaline junkie looking for a hit.
So that's your selfish side when it comes to doing those things. Yeah. And I can relate to that as well. Like if you ask my wife, she'll tell you that I have 100 hobbies that I get started at and never finish. I mean, I've had a full wood lathe in my garage where I was like turning wood and, you know, making bowls and fruit bowls and things like that, and, you know, buying wood blanks and all these chisels and stuff. And you know, I've got like my DSLR camera. You know, my Canon DSLR camera that I bought. I spent loads of money on it. And this is the thing. I always spend loads of money. I get the best gear that I can possibly get for the money that I can afford to buy it for. Yeah. And then I learn everything about it. And then I go and do it a few times. And then I get bored of it. I've got a GoPed in my mother and father-in-law's garage, right?
Oh, I'll get that out later then.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I need my adrenaline hit for the day. So.
I've got a GoPed in there, right? And like me and my mate, he has one as well. and he got one, and then I saw him out on his. He come down down and see me and he was like, oh, look at this, and I was like, that thing's amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I've got to get one. He was like, yeah, you get one, and then we can go out for rides together. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds so good. So I went and bought one.
Well,
and then
that's marketing.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm easily led, unfortunately. So I want to go and do that. So there's like a GoPed, I've got the camera, I've got this, I've got that. And like my mate wanted to go and start playing badminton. Like it was quite a while ago now, but badminton. Wanted to start playing badminton, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come along. So I went out and I bought a really expensive racket. And I can't remember the last time that thing. I mean, it's years and years and years. Tennis racket, squash racket. Like, there's just so many things that I pick up, and then I just put them down again. But it goes back to the jack of all, master of none.
Yeah.
But a jack of all is better than one. I've got those skills. I get to a point where I'm good enough to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I can and then I get bored of it
and then you get bored because there's not as much challenge.
No.
Or maybe on the other hand, the challenge is too much to get better quickly.
I don't know. I mean, like skiing, for example. I went, it was probably about 8 years ago now. First time I ever went skiing, and I went with one of my mates. It was just me and him, and I'd never skied before in my life. He could ski, quite well. And I said to him, when we get there, I'm going to have some lessons. And he was like, no, just come out with me. And I was like, full due respect, mate. I was like, I'm gonna have some lessons, like, not that I don't trust you. I've never seen you ski before, but I'd feel comfortable. He was like, yeah, okay, fine. So he would have to go out in the morning for like the first 2 days. He would go out in the morning by himself, like go skiing off by himself, and he'd come back at like lunchtime, and then I'd be done with my lessons. And then after the second day, he was like, come on. He was like, this is boring. He's like, I'm out by myself all day. He's like, I didn't invite you to come skiing, like, so that we can just meet up in the evenings and go for dinner. So he's like, look, just come out in the afternoon. Look, you've done like 2 days worth of bloody skiing now. Like, surely you know how to do a snow plough, I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, right, okay, just come out with me. Like, at the top of this run here is like, there's a really nice, easy run, right? I promise you it's a green run. And I was like, okay, fine. So we went up the chairlift, got to the top of it, and jumped off the chairlift. And he was like, right, okay, down we go then. I was like, where? He was like, down here. I was like, that's a red though. And he was like, yeah. I was like, no, you said it was a green. He was like, yeah, well, you'll be fine. And I was like, you arsehole. And then I was like, how do I get back down again? Like, in this particular one, we couldn't get back on the chairlift to go back down. So like, I had to either go back down the hill, which was a red, or go down that one was a red. But he pushed me, and I went down it, and then I never had another lesson after that. Do you know what I mean? And I just got, but that adrenaline, that thrill of like doing it, and then he made me realise I can do it.
Yeah. And
then I just wanted to get better and better and better. So like all my gear became like top of the range sort of gear, like my helmet, like all my, this was before North Face was actually like a designer brand, yeah, right? But I've got like proper North Face, like Arctic gear, like my boots, like everything, like are all, I think my boots were like 500-600 quid.
Yeah. So what I'm taking out of this, right, is two things.
Yep.
Fundamental things. You got a financial impact of ADHD, basically, because there's definitely, I built a garage to house all of my extreme sport toys.
Yep.
And my welders and lathes and machinery
Yep.
and everything that I wanted to do. But there's also your mate taking you to the top and shoving you down a red run, unprepared, unwilling. So that kind of sums me and my wife up, really. I'm your mate. I'm like, well, I just want you to come and have a good time with me, to my wife, this is. And she's, well, selfishly it is. But I also want, I've always wanted her and other people to enjoy the things that I enjoy because I know that they give me that buzz and I want them to experience that buzz too. But some people, they're not ready for that. They don't need it like I do. I thrive. I've always thrived on that buzz, that adrenaline, and that dopamine. Other people, they don't need it because they just don't. And my wife is one of those people. She doesn't need that adrenaline high. you could refer this to anything. I would push her to the limit and say, yeah, by the way, we're going to go and do that red run, just like you. And I've done this with my wife as well with skiing, exactly the same. And then she's like, I sent her down a black last year, actually, and she was like,
why?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
And I was like,
You
well,
did it?
we got no choice now. We got to go down there, haven't we? So, yeah. And she did it. She wasn't very happy. But that's an interesting concept because you either thrive on it, like you clearly did, or it makes you resent that person, which has happened to me and my wife a lot, where she now has this hardened shell because she resents me for it because I've pushed her too hard.
All right, okay.
So now obviously with your mate, for example, it's kind of a one-off. When you do it over 13 years of being together...
He's the same mate with the GoPed as well.
Oh, okay.
He's a bad influence.
So it's not a one-off.
No, he's not a bad influence at all.
But when you... no, but see, I see it as he's wanting you to experience that.
Yeah.
But he's also wanting to experience with you for his own selfish reason too.
Yeah, of
that
course,
that sums me up.
But that's life,
ways.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we do that with... I think you can relate that to literally anything.
Definitely,
in life.
yeah. But if you do it too much, that person starts to think, hang on, I don't want to do that with you. They get hardened to it. And that can happen in a relationship. And that happens when you've got an extreme cycle of ADHD, and it happens a lot. Then that speeds up the process, doesn't it, of that hardening and that resentment as well. So
what about what about like business then? So how's your wife taken the new venture that you're into property, and you work pretty much like full time, but you work shift work, so you're like 4 days on, 4 days off, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but you've got your own music business as well, where you're a musician, you do weddings and stuff like that, and now you've added into the mix being a property entrepreneur as well. So like, how did your wife sort of deal with that when you brought it to her?
Oh, it's just another thing, isn't it?
Did she see? Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, did she see this as another one of your extreme sports?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's like, okay, so he's not gonna pursue that. He's not gonna last. It's just gonna be hit and gone. But the reality is, I'm trying to change my mindset. I'm trying to snap out of that old way because it's not sustainable. The main motivation for me is so that I can grow as a person. That's why I'm building these businesses, because I know they are a way to force consistency, and I need consistency going forward.
Do you feel like you need accountability as well?
I need accountability as well, definitely. Accountability, social accountability especially, makes me thrive.
Yeah, so I try and keep you accountable as much as I possibly can.
And that's how Mind Over Mortar was created.
It was, yeah.
So that's why we're here. And that's why we're trying to reach out to people who also feel the same, so that we can be accountable together. So, but with my wife, she said this to me as well. She's like, yeah, but I think it's just not going to last. It's just going to cost us money, and it's just it's going to be another thing. So I mean, I've had lots and lots of vehicles, lots of motorbikes, lots of cars, because it's that same. Oh, something new. And so she's always seen those things as well, and she just thinks it's another vehicle for me. However, as I start to get results in and it starts to build, of course you start to prove that it can work. So then it becomes, okay, so maybe Matt is trying to change. Because for me, I want to be the best role model I possibly can for my family. And something triggered me when my little boy was really young. He said, Dad, I want to fix cranes like you. And I was like, it rattled me, and I think it actually...
No, you will not.
Well, it kind of felt like that, but it wasn't because fixing cranes is a bad thing, because it's what I did my apprenticeship in. And it's given me the life that I've got now. But what it was is I suddenly realised how much influence I have on my family. And that was the penny dropping when he said that, and it resonates in my ears. Like right now I could see it. I think it was like 1. Barely could speak, and I was like, where has that come from? And that absolutely rattled me. So I was like, I need to be better. Maybe I wasn't that bad anyway, but in my eyes, I need to be better because I am influencing the people around me so massively, whether it be my wife negatively or positively, because some of my traits have given her confidence, you know. But for my little boy, I want to be the best role model I can be, and I want him to grow, and I want him to see that he's got options. And it's not just the system that he has to go in to be successful, which is how I thought, unfortunately. And it's ironic because my dad had an engineering business, a very successful engineering business. And like I said...
That's why you're an engineer.
Well, that's why I'm an engineer. It has a massive influence.
That's what I said. Your family upbringing sort of almost dictates and determines sort of who you become, really.
It does. It does. But I didn't understand business. I just thought being the best engineer I possibly could would be the way to be good at business, but it's not. Because people do business with people, and I never understood that concept, which is ironic because I've always been very sociable, but I've only been sociable when I'm in the euphoria, because when I'm in the depression, I'm really antisocial. So this is why I'm working towards consistency, so that I can consistently be sociable, which means that I can be a role model, I can do business with people, and I can get things done. And that's my goal. That's the point of Mind Over Mortar in one, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are your based off of that? I mean, what are your drives? Why are you sitting here now looking to change?
Because you asked me to.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I feel like personal growth is a massive thing, and I feel like people don't really explore it properly or to the extent that they should. And I feel like you have to be in those really uncomfortable situations to actually get that personal sort of growth experience. And this is perfect for me. Like, you know, I feel uncomfortable doing this every time and talking about these things. But I understand that talking about them, and then we hear from our listeners and they're like, oh, I can relate to that so much. And it makes you realise that actually you're not alone in all this. But I mean, as far as like the push and to go back, you know, to elaborate on the question I asked you of how your wife saw your new venture, mine was a bit different because I didn't really have a choice. It was the only option I had available to me at the time.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, she was like, she told my wife said, like, she told me she was behind me. She told me that she fully supported me, and I believe her. I do believe her, definitely. But she would ask me questions that would make me question it. So like, she'd ask me questions, and I would say, why are you asking? That sounds like a very negative sort of, you know, question.
Yeah.
Like, why are you asking me these questions? And like, she thought that the academy was a scam. Like she thought that everyone who's on the academy and everyone who I'd met up until that point, a few months in, were paid by Samuel to basically make me think that this was a real thing. And I said to her, I was like, that is a really elaborate. I think we speak about that. I think we might have already spoken about that. But like, that's a real elaborate ruse. That is, like, if that's the case, like, wow.
It is, but my wife thought that me joining the academy was just another motorbike for me. She was just like, oh, right, okay.
Another one.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But the difference is this, you know, my wife, you know, she's seen the results that are actually happening.
Yeah.
While doing it. It's like, oh, okay, right, well, yeah, fair enough, you know. And you know, I just want the best for my family. I just want to be able to provide and support my family. And like I've said before, you know, time is my new currency. It is my only real currency. And if it's the only one that matters to me the most, because I can't earn any more of it, but I'm constantly losing it. And I'm not just losing it against myself, I'm losing it against my children, I'm losing it against my wife. So all the time that I'm not giving to them is time that's being stolen from them, if that makes sense, yeah? So for me doing this, you know, is going to, you know, I know that this is going to work. This is the thing now. There's no doubt about it. Like, there's no which way around it. Like, this is who I am now. This is what I'm going to achieve. And I know that I'm going to have a very successful business, or multiple businesses. You know, you can't just have one, but I'm going to have multiple businesses that are very successful, and they're going to allow me to take back more of the time that I've got remaining and spend it with my family. So that's that's my main goal. You know, and whether my wife is on board with it, you know, or not, I know she is, and I know that she's you know, similar to your wife in the sense that, you know, we go and do these things. So she thought this was just another thing for me as well. But like, I've always wanted her to come and play golf with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for most other things that I ask her, she'd be like, okay, yeah, fine, you know. But this one, she's like, no. She's like, absolutely.
So with
not.
the academy, you mean, yeah?
No, with like playing golf.
Oh,
with me, yeah.
I'm sorry, we're playing
like, with
golf.
the academy. She, you know, because she's like seeing the results, or I'm telling her my results that are happening. She's like, oh, okay, understanding it a bit better.
Yeah.
But with golf, she's never been. She's never been with me before, but she just flat out refuses to come. I was like, you don't even have to play. You can just sit. You can drive the buggy if you want. You can just drive me around. She's like, what, so you want me to give up my Sunday so I can drive you around a golf course for 4 hours? I was like, yeah! Doesn't that not sound great?
To be fair, so I'm going to stand up for her in this case, because Jane just said this to me before as well. She's like, yeah, but that's your thing. My wife has said this to me before as well. She said, that's your thing. And she doesn't want to encroach on my life because she doesn't want to feel a part of it. Which is kind of sad, isn't it? Because ultimately, that's what we want.
Yeah, we want
to do that thing together, don't we? But is there a selfish bit of it that you just want her to do your thing?
No, not really. I think it's. I think what it comes down to, like when you really like something, it's like you know how much fun it is, and you want someone else to experience that fun as well. You want someone else to go, oh yeah, actually, do you know what?
Definitely, yeah.
That's what it is for me. But you know, you fail to also forget. So you fail to remember that not everyone's you.
No.
So you're right, and in that sense. But the way I see it is differently. I'm like, you know, I know how much fun this is. I want you to have fun as well. Let's go do it together. You know,
going to business right now.
Yeah.
Based on what you've just said, like, would you and your wife be successful doing business together?
Right. This is a very hot topic for us at the moment. Okay. Because I don't believe that I can be fully successful to the degree that I know I can be without her being there as well. And she doesn't want to be there. So I'm like, right, okay. I don't see how I can't do it without her. I know I can't do it without her. I need her support. But I want her to be involved in it as well. I want her to do, you know, even if she's just dipping her toe in the water, like to begin with. But like, if I carry on in the trajectory that I'm currently on, they're basically just gonna be passengers. And the thing is, over time, like, they start following you, but then that distance gets wider and wider and wider and wider and wider from what you're doing and where they are. So you have to run back all the time to be back where they are, and then back over here again. But then you've got 100 people over here saying you need to be over here, you need to be over here.
And then you have to pull them, and
you
then
have to try
they
and pull
start
them,
to resent you
and
for
then reluctantly
it,
they start moving towards you and that. And then by the time they get there, you're arguing, and it's like.
But fundamentally, you want to pull them with you because you want the best for them.
Yes, definitely, yeah. Like,
although you might not.
She brings out the best in me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. She brings out the best in me. Like, I can't bring the best out in myself. I can't do it. I can't recognise that in myself.
No.
You know, and that's just my self-deprivation that I have. You know, it's just being a man. Unfortunately, you know, like she brings out the best in me, and that's why I gravitate closer to her, and that's why I want her to be closer with what I'm doing as well. Like what I was doing previously, the job I was doing previously, well, she couldn't be involved in that. It was impossible. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was so the relatability between me and her back then was very distant, where she would ask how my day was and it was fine. And that was it. You know, how was your day? Yeah, but she'll elaborate. She'll go on and she'll tell her, like, you know, her whole day, and she'll be, you know, she's excited to tell me about her day, and I just wasn't excited to hear it. But like I am more now that I've got more things to talk about. I understand that feeling of being able to talk about your day and how good it was. So then when she tells me about her day, I mean, I'll turn the telly off or pause the TV or whatever, and we'll talk. You know, it won't be like TV's on. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. None of that.
That's good.
We will talk about it.
No, we've always kind of suffered from that.
Really?
What you just said, yeah, about the not giving each other the time.
Mm.
And I think that comes from me pushing too hard, me being too extreme, and her sort of shutting me out a little bit, you know, because of it, because of that resentment.
So what do you think, in your own mind? What do you think you need to work on, like to gain a solution to the problem that you're talking about?
So for me, it's communication, like you're saying.
What type of communication?
You're actually genuinely listening.
Okay, yeah.
You're not just there for the sake of being there, just like you say. It's leveling, so I'm consistent with it as well, and giving the time and turning up, which is difficult to do while you're building businesses, I must say, and it's a realisation I've come to very recently as well, where you can end up pushing because you want to build so that you can provide for your family, but then what will happen is you push too much and you haven't got any time for them, and then there's no family there to provide for, which is quite a sad state of affairs. So it's about that balance of time management, which I've never been very good at, which I'm really trying hard to work on going forward, so that I can give the time that they need. And
I was going to ask you. I was going to say, so if you was to give yourself, if I was talking now, and you were listening, what 3 things would you say that you need to work on to achieve that?
Consistency, time management, and the communication.
What type of communication though? Like emotional, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can portray science, facts. I love to talk about the bigger concepts, like we're talking about, for example, which is emotional, but it's full on. It's not connective. Emotional energy is what I need to give my family more.
Yeah.
And what I've always seen that as is weakness in the past.
Interesting.
Because I've always kind of seen, and this is in some ways not fully true, but this is how I've seen it. I've always seen myself as the provider, so I have to push to provide, right? That's my role. So what it means is that I haven't given emotional support. I've just put in time to provide, which has then created 2 people that are independent. And what I'm on a mission to do is try and bring them back together again.
Yeah. But it's good you realise that though.
Yeah, and that's not true, because my wife is she's an established teacher. She's doing very well at it. She's independent. We're both independent people, but I've always wanted to be one, and so she. But life gets in the way. You have your traits, makes you resent each other and then pull apart. And for me, the lack of emotional connection is something that is really hindered us because of it. So
yeah, I get that. We've been working on that ourselves. We've recognised that. Me and my wife, and yeah, we've been working on that for a little while now. And things have got easier now that I'm my own boss. And yeah, they seem to be more. The conversations that we're having seem to be easier because I can have more time. You know, I'm still busy. I'm probably busier now than I was even when I was working. But you know, she understands that you have to put a lot of work in to begin with to make things work. You know, and as we say, we're started to see the fruits of my labour, which is great because I can get up in the morning now. Like I used to get up in the morning, like, and I'd leave for work sometimes at like 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, like, you know, back in when I was working up in Surrey and places like that. I'd be leaving. I had to be on site for like 7:30 in the morning. So with traffic, it's like a 2-hour drive. I'm not seeing my family when I wake up in the morning, and then, you know, inevitably I'm there till like, you know, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you've got the traffic on the way home. By the time we get home, the kids are in bed, or so like I'm missing so much right there and then, you know, later on in the years and that, working for someone else, I was still in that mindset, in that mode where I was waking up early, I was going to the gym in the morning, coming home, getting dressed, and then straight out the door. And like now I don't. I get up in the morning with my family, and, you know, I might get myself ready in the morning while my wife is downstairs, sort of getting the kids ready, you know, the kids sorted for breakfast, whatever. I might have a shower and get myself ready, and then they'll come upstairs and I help them get dressed for school or play group, and we'll play with each other for a bit and we'll talk. And then, like, I had to drop my little girl off at play group this morning. That's why I said to you, because you was a bit early, so I said go and grab a coffee because I'll be there, you know, a little bit late. But I can go and do these things, and I'm not on someone else's time anymore. That's the thing, like I say, and that relates back to the currency side of things. Like, you know, it's my time, it's my currency. Yeah, when you work for someone else, you're working on their time, so your currency of time becomes theirs, and they dictate how you spend that time.
Yeah.
Stuff that. No, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only commodity that's actually important to me in life, and like someone else is spending it for me, don't think so.
No, that's an amazing concept. So give me a downside of business.
I've got to do everything myself.
Yep.
There's nobody there to help me.
That's right.
There's no one there to help you. You know, you either sink or you swim. Simple as that. Yeah, negatives of being a business owner is that you've got to do everything yourself, basically. Yeah. But I don't think that is a negative as such. Like, it's the only thing I can really give you. But it's not a negative because...
I don't think it's a negative.
No, it's not.
I think it basically gets you out of bed in the morning.
I think it's a good place to wrap it up anyway. So, as always, give us a like, a subscribe if you enjoyed it. Post some comments down below. Give us something to talk about in the beginning. We like doing this structure of asking a couple of questions in the beginning. So, if you've got any questions, then pop them down in the comment section under the pinned comment, and or you can put it into Mind Over Mortar on Instagram at Mind Over Mortar. And then if you want to have a look at one of our other videos, you'll find that there. And if you haven't subscribed already, please click that button.